I think Mukesh and KRS are both, you're on the board of ITRAF. We would like you to explain what is the objective, A, and B, what are the priority areas for ITRAF in the first year?
My senior first.
The objective of ITRAF, as you come to know today from all the various sessions, is to create a research-based organization with an entire objective of creating fundamental research behind every legislation or any topic that leads to the legislation. Today, if you look at one of the challenges that we have is that on any topic, the legislation is framed, and it goes for implementation with a serious roadblock. And one of the reasons is that there is lack of adequate research behind the legislation. Just to give an example, an indirect transfer. Everybody scores for an indirect transfer. But there is a committee report that's already done of 26 examples going a very extensive research. Of course, that has come through committee. There are other similar legislations on the offing where we don't have much data. And another important reason for this sort of organization is that when you talk about any legislation, we are not looking at the economic impact of the legislation. Is it at all required? The legislation at all is first of all required. We are not doing an economic analysis of that legislation. So the ITRAF objective is to create a think tank which does the econometric analysis plus impact of the legislation and also bring the international experience in the legislation.
Mukesh,
That's a primary reason of that.
thanks. Mukesh, you're part of organizations like the international, like the ICC, which is an advocacy body. I think you know quite a few people who are in BIAC, which is the industry representative to the OECD on BEPS. So, is it going to be somewhat similar?
ICC Tax Commission, if you're referring to, and OECD BIAC are advocacy bodies. They represent the interest of the industry.
Yeah.
Here, I think we want to create a non-partisan body, which is not necessarily representing the interest of the industry, but instead it is representing an objective for the country to have sensible tax policy, sensible tax administration, and sensible dispute of administration. I think in the presentation earlier, the tax policy part and the tax administration part were adequately covered. Let me just give you a couple of illustrations. Let's say, for instance, we are talking about bringing about an inheritance tax. Now, has anybody done an impact analysis? Has anybody looked at it, that it was just in 1985 that the estate duty law was abolished,